Hello, for today's lesson, September 2nd, we will be starting our unit on cells. So I'd like to first start off by reading pages A6 and A7 to you. So what I'd like you to do is open up your science book and follow along as I read those pages to you. Cells, the discovery of cells. The microslide and viewer you used in the investigation enabled you to observe parts of plants and animals under magnification. Now, you guys will be actually doing this lab very soon, so bear with me, but we'll get there. Without magnification, you couldn't have seen the structures you did. A microscope magnifies objects in a similar way. In fact, the pictomicrographs you observed were taken through a microscope. The first microscopes were invented in the early 1600s. One scientist who built and used an early microscope was Robert Hooke. In 1665, Hooke observed a thin slice of cork through a microscope. The tiny walled spaces he saw in the cork reminded him of tiny rooms. So he called them cells. Over the next 200 years, scientists learned more and more about cells. They learned that the cell is the basic unit of structure and function of all living things. The timeline below shows some important early discoveries about cells. So go ahead and take a look at the bottom, and you can actually see between 1600 and 1700, you see in 1665, Robert Hooke records his observations of cork cells, and you can see what he saw through the microscope he had. Okay, go ahead and read those other two captions to yourself at the bottom of the page. On page A7, kinds of cells. Scientists have classified about 1 million kinds of plants and animals. But as different as those plants and animals seem to be, all of them are made of cells. The simplest organisms, such as bacteria, are each a single cell. Most plants and animals, however, are made up of many cells. Humans, for example, are made of trillions of cells. An organism with many cells usually has many different kinds of cells. Each kind of cells has a particular function. The size and shape of the cell depend on its function. Red blood cells, for example, are small and disc-shaped. They can easily fit through the smallest blood vessels. Muscle cells are long and thin. When they contract or shorten, they produce movement. Nerve cells, which carry signals from the brain to the muscles, are very long. Plants also have different kinds of cells. Some plant cells take in water from the soil. Others protect the plant, and still others make food. Cells work together to perform basic life processes that keep an organism alive. These processes include releasing energy from food, getting rid of body waste, and making new cells for growth and repair. In addition to performing a particular function for the organism, each individual cell can perform all the basic life processes for itself. Okay, so take a look up at the top at the flower. What they did is they did a cross section. That's what they called when they take a leaf, and in this case, they took a leaf and they took a piece of it and they put it under the microscope. So you're seeing like a blown up part of that leaf. The skin cells of this plant's leaves keep it from losing too much water. Then at the bottom, you can see our iguana. The skin cells make a watertight covering of scales that keep this iguana from losing water too. Okay? All right, so what I want to do now is I'd like to go on to our slide presentation that I've shared with you. I'm going to move on here, and this is actually a red blood cell up in the corner here. They talked about that. Okay, so in this lesson, Some of the things we're going to be talking about are the structures that are found in cells, the processes that take place in cells, and interactions that take place in the cells. And one of the little videos that I like to show everyone to kind of start off this unit is a horseshoe crab video. And I'm sure many of you over the summer or in past summers have been at the shore, been at the ocean, and have seen a horseshoe crab. And actually, many of you had these in your nature samples. You brought pictures of your of horseshoe crabs. So I thought this was really neat, and I wanted to share it with you.
Few of us realize just how valuable the horseshoe crab is.
When I first started 37 years ago, we were allowed to harvest them. There was no recording, there was nothing. And they became fair game, and I was involved with selling them for bait. And then a doctor came down, and he said that if I didn't sell bait crabs anymore, he would be interested in the laboratory.
Normal fishing is, you catch it, you ice it, and you deliver it to the table and you eat it. The horseshoe crabs, we actually catch them, take them to the lab, and they bleed them, and then we bring them back and release them. So we're borrowing the crabs is really what we're doing. All right, what do you say we go unload this? All right.
Crabs that are borrowed end up a couple of hours away at the EndoSafe laboratories in Charleston. Here in this alien world, they're given a rigorous cleaning to prep them for the process ahead. For the past 30 years, the biomedical industry has been mining the medical equivalent of gold. EndoSafe is one of only 4 labs in the world that produces a derivative of horseshoe crab blood. Their blood has a clotting agent that's used to detect minute levels of bacteria. But what's truly surprising is the color. The crab's blue blood is an evolutionary gift that's helped them survive the eons.
Male or female? Small male would be good. Okay.
Dr. Norman Wainwright has been working with horseshoe crabs for most of his career, studying the remarkable properties of their